Hello folks. Well, everybody's been waiting on this, so I'm going to get into it. There's a lot of learning to one of these stoves. As you can see, I've got it in the background here. So anyways, what I've decided to do, instead of making a video that I just tell my opinions about it, I'm first going to, I've printed off all the comments that have come in, at least the ones asking about things. Now the ones that say, good job, or I really like it, things like that, no, I'm not doing them. I'm not going to bore you with reading that stuff. But the questions, the legitimate questions that come up, that's what I'm going to do, is start off with this. I don't know, there's a lot of questions and comments, so I may end up splitting this video up into a couple of them just so it's not long and boring. You can always play them back to back if you want to do the whole thing at once, if that's the way it works out. I'm not sure. I don't know how long this is going to take. So we'll just get started and go from there. And what I've done, I started with the first video I put out, my mock-up video, where I built it outside. And I was basically trying to get an idea. I had purchased a bunch of old used bricks from a lady over by Knoxville, and I got a good deal on them. I bought everything she had, and I wanted to see if I had enough bricks to do the job that I wanted to do. So that was my main purpose, was trying to lay it out and see with the space that I was going to do and what my plan was. And so that was my main purpose there. I had an idea, I did my partial mock-up, and I asked for input, and I got input. A lot of it came from Permies, because I posted on there too, and there's a lot of people that are a whole lot smarter than me that are members there that they had the suggestions. So from there, I went from there. So my first questions that came up, somebody named GJH42, and he says that instead of using the Portland cement with my perlite for the base down there, I should have used perlite clay, because the Portland cement would heat up and crack and disintegrate over time. And then he made a comment about the way that I laid up the fire brick in there, which I had thought by laying the bricks sideways so that the air had to pass through the bricks, I would pick up more of the heat as it went across, which was basically shot down by most everybody because of the resistance, and I would get less of a draft. So that made sense. So I abandoned that idea. But what I do want to say about the Portland cement versus the perlite clay that he suggested was the fact that it doesn't get hot down there. I've got a little laser thermometer, and it gets the cement base 75, maybe 85 degrees. And right now we're running 80 degrees in the house here. So I don't think an issue is going to be had with a high temperature breaking up my cement. I think probably the top up there where I laid the top on top of there would probably get warmer than the base of it. So that's the first issue. And he was talking, I almost missed this part. He was talking about the having a primer for the heat. Well, what I found out after running it was having that stovepipe on the inside back there, inside of the bell, when you start a fire up, it immediately goes to the top, which heats up the stovepipe. what that does is starts that draft. So I have had zero problem with the draft at all. And I did by laying that clean out tea, or that tea, I guess. It's a clean out, but anyways, I laid the tea on its back there on the back side of this, so with the cap on, so you could take it off, and if you needed to, you could throw some newspaper up there and fire it up to heat up that chimney and get going. Hasn't been an issue at all. All right, next question. This is from David Parker, 21733. He says, little by little, I'm trying to get a bead on exactly how I can build a smaller decorative unit. Just thought I could use refractory cement for the riser and with rebar and grating in a round configuration to further encourage a swirling flame. The thing at the base you have looks quite interesting, with the purpose of directing a swirl in your riser. All right. So basically what he's talking about is putting the 45-degree pieces in the corner of the base of the riser tube. I put those in. I got a swirl, on my firing. I got the swirl from the smoke and the vortex and all, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, got that. What I found out was they didn't hold, and they ended up all falling out and coming down inside, so I took them out. And what I found out was, like, I believe it was Peter Vandenberg said, that you don't need them, because if everything is sized right, it will do that vortex swirl on its own. So you can put them in if you want, but they don't need to be in either, and that's been proven by me and also by Peter and a lot of other people. Next question says, it's somebody called Hovenizer's Bed RIJFME blah 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 953. Some of these names I don't know. Says, I am only questioning if the front part is heated as well, because I can't figure out where the hot air is flowing, and on the left and right side of the riser there is no airspace. All right, what he's talking about, this area right here. Because if you remember from the build videos, this has a space back to the back of the where the riser comes up. There's a space. It's probably a pretty square space right here, and it comes down and stops right here. And he was wondering about the airflow. How does this heat? Well, this heats very well. It's above the firebox, which I don't know if, I suppose that helps some because it is insulated, but I think just the way the whole thing is, and there is insulation around the riser tube, but by having the bricks in there sideways, before the fire bricks. So there's some bricks down here that are sitting, up tall, that have the vent holes in them, which allows that to get into this chamber, because remember there's an airspace in between the two layers of bricks. And what that does is allows that to be an airflow also. So it does heat up. And like somebody else later has suggested, I could have built an oven in there, which, yeah, it was a good idea, but in this house, I'm not looking for cooking on this stove. I'm looking for heat. So, yes, it could be built with an oven, no problem. He says the ugly barrel associated with the rocket stove should be a thing of the past. Use the rocket stove core to heat brick and thermal mass, not an ugly oil drum. Use masonry and brick like Russians and Finns do to store heat 5 to 10 hours. Cob and mud benches not necessary. A few things if there are any beginners here. The overkill adds 1%, which he's not a scientist. I went to his channel and watched his stuff. Oh, by the way, this is called Quantum of Conscious 6538. Anyways, he's talking about the insulation, the 2 layers of bricks, and just kind of giving his opinion on how the thing should work or should be done or how you should build it, which he's built some. They work. I've watched his videos, not an issue. This one I went with suggestions and research from people that know what they're doing. They've done the science, they have the numbers. That's what I built by. Like I said, Peter Vandenberg. He's got a whole chart, which I put it in the videos, in the description of the videos, but I will put it in this one also. So you can find all the references that I talk about in here. He's talking about the tall riser of fire brick, and you know, you don't need that if you get enough primary air going through, and the size of the riser and all this stuff. It's what he says is valid. He's kind of doing a criticizing of the way I build it, but his points are valid. You don't need all this stuff to make a good working stove. You can throw some bricks together, put a chimney up on the inside, have a bell, boom, it'll work. It will work. So anyways, I thank you for the questions and just, you know, bringing all these points out. And like you said, I used the large fire brick, not the thin stuff. So that helps. And it's just his way of saying that what I've done is overkill compared to what he has done. True. Like I said, I went from people that know what they're doing and the numbers, the whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it the science because that's already been taken, you know. Anyways, I went from that and not the experimenting. He went from experimenting. He took the basic idea and went to experiment on his own, building in his garage. So he's got that advantage to build, take apart, and figure out what's going on. So anyways, I might have went on too long with that. All right, next one. This one comes from John Dow 7003. He says, how do you think the cored lightweight bricks will perform relative to solid bricks? How do you seal the inner layer of bricks in the bell since the cores run through the thickness? Mortar, sheet material, something else perhaps. It's not a worry as long as the outer skin of bricks is sealed, plaster, render, or whatever. After all, lots of old masonry heaters are single skin, but double skins seem to be a new thing, mostly due to safety concerns and regulatory insurance, which I don't know about insurance or regulations because I'm in Tennessee, we don't have that. I may try to salvage some clay brick from a building near his house and use them to build a batch style of burner. And he's looking at what Matt, I don't know his last name, but anyways, Walker Stoves, he's mentioned in my videos, and he had input on these videos also. He has it's a kitchen cooktop stove with a low riser, which works really well. I've seen other videos since I did this that have that low riser design, or the I don't know even know what they call it, shelf riser, where everything comes from the back, goes across the front, and then drops down for your chimney effect. It's a good design. I gotta say, it's a good design. I'll have more comments on that a little later. So anyways, he says because I don't have a damper in my chimney, that I'll probably be using way more wood because it'll be going right straight through the stove. Not true. Because what I've done, if you remember, I made a plug for the intake air. Ouch, it's still hot from last night. And down here is my, you can see it there, I've made the plug, but it's also vented or V'd so that I can get air in there if I need just a little bit, and that's my secondary air. So usually what I do when I'm done burning for the day or the night, I put my plugs in there. And what that does, it does two things. First, it shuts off that draft that's going to go through. If you leave it open, yeah, it'll draw air right straight through and right out the top as long as there's heat in here. What it does is cools down the brick, cools down the stove, it pulls the warm air from the house that you've heated, throws it right out the chimney. But when you plug that, it does these two things. It stops that draft, but it also stops the intense burning, and it leaves you some coals in there, which makes it very easy to restart your fire, because the coals start up much faster than plain dry wood. Usually I don't even have to put much of anything in. Sometimes I can just stir up the coals, lay a couple pieces of wood on there, let the coals get hot in there, and then blow on it a bit, and it boom, takes off. No paper, no kindling, no nothing. And that can happen after a 10 or 12 hour time period. So something to consider. Here's one, wants to know, where's the secondary air get mixed? And then another one, let's see, Adri Dreshano 1742 wants to know where the secondary air gets mixed. And then relative to that, Oliver J 2435 says, your steel pipe for secondary air will not melt. Okay, so I'm going to answer that in one question. The secondary air goes down at the bottom underneath the fire brick, or in the fire brick. So yes, it is exposed right at the top. It's exposed to coals. So it's not getting that intense burning heat going up there. It's just getting the coals that are left in there. And then what I did from Dragon Technology, which, like I say, he's a link that I'll put in there. I bought a piece of pipe that is a different type of steel that so far has lasted many years without burning out. You can use the soft, in fact I've even got one for an experiment, just a piece of 2-inch pipe is what I did. It sits in there. I made mine so I can change this. It just sits, you can take this out, put the other one in. So anyways, that one will burn out after a couple years of use, from what everybody tells me. I haven't had it that long, and I don't use it that often. I use the one I got from Dragon. So anyways, so no, it won't burn out. That's the answer to that question. All right, gonna try to finish this thing up. at least the filming part. Now I have to edit and get it posted, but gonna go to the cost breakdown. I got my receipt. This is for the fire brick, the fire clay, and the sand. Now, I bought, for this build, I think I mentioned earlier, I had red bricks. The red bricks you see there. And I didn't count everything as I used it, but going back and counting and blah, 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 I figure if you get between 850 and 900 bricks, you could build one this size. Now, I got lucky. Well, I got blessed is what it was. The bricks I bought about 900. I had nothing left over. I got a couple of real ugly bricks left over, but most of the ugly bricks I cut up to make these little spacers like here and where there's another one there and there. No, that's not it. Anyways, I used those ugly bricks for cutting up for spacers. So, about 900 bricks I'd figure on. I paid $75 myself. I priced them at Home Depot. You can still get them $1,000 for that same amount. They're $1.10 a piece right now, and you want to get the clay bricks, not the cement bricks. So that's the difference. They sell the cheaper brick, but you don't use it for heat. You use that for decoration or for your house, building a house. All right, so that said, I figured that the Portland cement, I think I bought 4 or 5 bags of that. They're about 20 bucks a bag, so I threw in $100 for that. The perlite that I bought, I got it from Amazon. A 4 cubic foot bag was just under 50 bucks. So that makes up my cement between the top up there and the base. So anyways, I've got that figured there. And then my fire brick I bought from a place in Knoxville called Acme Brick. Look around for a brickyard. Don't buy from the box stores, if possible at all. It took me a while to find somebody that would even answer me, but when I did, they treated me well. It was called Acme Brick. They're in Knoxville. Anyways, I bought 185 fire bricks. I used probably 170, 172, somewhere in there. I don't have much left over. Those cost me $2.10 a piece, which was a deal compared to buying from Home Depot or Lowe's. These are 9 inches by 4 inches by 2.5. So they're the thick and the wide. They're the real fire bricks. All right, then I bought, so those cost me $388.50 for that. Then I bought 7 bags of 50-pound bags of fire clay, which I used about 6.5 bags of it. So pretty good guess on that. I don't know how I guessed that, but I did. I have no clues. I was just, I don't know. And then sand, mason sand. You want mason sand because it's made for this stuff. Or it's separated for this, whatever. And I bought one of them big sling bags. It's a 1-ton bag of sand. I didn't use all of it at all, but I paid $100 for a 1,000-pound bag of, or a 2,000-pound bag of mason sand. So if I figure I used maybe a third of that. So you figure a third of that, so that's, say, 700 pounds of mason sand. So that would give you, 50, so you're looking at 14 bags of sand. Okay. So if I use 30, or a third of that $100, so that's roughly $35 for those 14 bags. I don't think you can buy it from the box store cheaper than that. And who doesn't need sand around the place, whether it's for your driveways or flower beds or mixing with your soil to make better soil? It's a good deal. So anyways, Acme Brick, I spent $770 at Acme Brick buying all that. Then you add that up with the red bricks, the Portland cement, the perlite, super wool, which is the insulation that I did. That I got from Dragon Tech, and he, I believe, well, I'm pretty sure it was about $275 for a 25-foot roll, which I used almost every bit of it except for a couple of scraps. So, and that was with shipping. So what I figure is I've got, between all that, I've got about $2,200 in this build. Now that is not including the chimney pipe going through the roof or my black pipe that you see here, which, throw in another $100 for that black pipe. It's pretty cheap yet. I think I bought that at not Tractor Supply, Rural King. Rural King has it, Lowe's has it, Home Depot has it, and it's all about the same price. So, $2,200 is what I've got in this. Now, if you had to go buy the fire bricks, add $1,000, or not the fire bricks, the red bricks. You want to add $1,000 for the red bricks. So you're looking at $3,200. Not too much, I can tell you there. That's, the price is the price, but it kind of gives you an idea where you're at before you start building this thing. You can buy a wood stove, a pretty efficient wood stove, but I think you're probably going to pay that much anyways. Now, as far as efficiency, what I think about it, what I do different, all right. What I do different, I like this stove. It works really well. I don't think it's the stove for the climate like Tennessee. If I was still up in Montana, awesome, because you could burn it, keep it hot all summer, all winter long, and that's all you'd need. You know, you'd burn, a quarter of the firewood that you would normally burn, maybe even less than that you would regularly burn. And so the like I said before, the issue with this here in Tennessee is the fact that the weather fluctuates so much. We don't have a straight cold winter for weeks at a time like you do in Montana. So you're always fluctuating with this. I'd probably build it the same way if I was up there. I would add an oven, or maybe even a cooktop in there somehow into this setup. What I really think I would do if I had to do it all over again right here in the same situation I've got, I think I'd go a lot like what Matt does at Walker Stoves. He built that cooktop using a glass cooktop from an electric stove burner. So his is the horizontal burn chamber. So it's a short, it's only the 3-foot high stove, like your regular kitchen cook stove. He didn't build the big mass because his stovetop radiates heat out into the room, sort of like the 55-gallon drums do in that situation. But he's got enough brick there that he holds a mass temperature in there. He does real similar to what I did with this on the chimney. He keeps his chimney inside so that he's got a draft set up when he starts burning, so that's a good thing. Let's see. The other option, which I started out thinking about building, would be to do the Russian stove. That would probably be a good setup right here where I live. I'm in East Tennessee. Because it's got enough mass to hold heat, but it's a single layer of bricks. It uses chambers, so you've got all the bricks are getting some sort of heat retention set up. So that works. And you've got the chamber that you can burn the bigger wood. And you're not going to get the smokeless fires like you do with the rocket mass. But I believe that would be a real acceptable situation in an area like here. Either like what I said, what Matt does with Walker stoves, with his kitchen cook stove type, or the original Russian stove. The insulation, like I said, I don't think that's an issue, and I think with the temperature probe you probably saw that. You know, that it, after 12 hours, you're still holding temperatures and it's warmer at the bottom than it is at the top. Pretty good indicator of what I was talking about. It does keep the heat in there at the top, but it keeps everything else warm all the way through. So I think that's a good setup. Some things I'd have done different. One is my air intake, my combustion air here. I went with the recommendation that I needed 2 inches of two square inches of air intake. I don't believe that's quite enough, so I would definitely make that a bigger air intake. I've got a 2-inch intake there, but I would definitely build it bigger. And the other thing I would do is move it down lower. I've got it about in the middle, and what I did was, you saw what I did, but in here, and put this chamber on, which is a spark arrestor chamber, so that, you know, it doesn't pop sparks out while it's burning, which it rarely does something like that. It's mostly when you're first starting up. But what I did was made it so it was a spark arrestor, but the air would go both ways, top and bottom. I think it burns better. I put a little plate and I set it on top so that the air goes down before it comes in. I like that. I think that's the correct way, to put it low as you can get it. Get that air intake low. Back in the day, the best wood stove I built, I had my air intake right at the bottom, so it went right in where my fire bricks were on the bottom of the stove. So I would change that. The other thing that you could do, or I would have done, is you don't need that big of a bell. I could have gotten away with a shorter bell from the back of the burn chamber and the riser. It could have been similar to what's in the front. Just a short, I'm only yay far or so 1.5 feet, if that. I don't even think it's that deep. And I could have gotten away with that in this design too, but not necessary. I mean, it just adds more bricks, so it retains heat that much longer. So, but that's a couple of things that would be different to do. I'll think about it. If there's anything else I need to add, I'll be doing that. But right now, that's probably close to the end of the video. So I thank you. I thank you for your questions, and hope this answers all of it. Thank you now. All right, gonna do a video here of my temperatures. Everybody's interested in temperatures. Give you an idea where we're at. My outside temperature here is 32 degrees, 63% humidity. Inside temperature, 82 degrees with 38% humidity. This is after that stove has been done for over 12 hours. Let's start down here. Oh, there we go, that cement base. Yeah, 82. That's right underneath the firebox. All right, this, by the way, this stove has been off. It last burned about 11 o'clock last night, and it is now 1:30 in the afternoon. Let's go into the door. You can see there, 150 plus. Let's go up here. My brick above the door, 145. There's my front clean out, about the same. Now we're up to where the insulation is. And clear up to the top, 103. 89, 90 degrees for that cement top. So that gives you an idea there. Let's see what inside the firebox is. All right. Let's get a fire brick there. Wow. 330 degrees. Yep. You could bake bread in there. Could be a little hotter, but this is, like I say, 12 hours after burning. Somebody was asking about that secondary burn. There it is right there. I'm on it. 169, so 170 degrees. All right. We'll move on. Here we go. This is on the side, and this would be about right underneath the riser. There we go. 80 degrees on that porcelain or Portland cement mix. Okay, we come up. So like I said, I believe that see, we're coming up 143 there, 140. There, we're getting into the insulation part. Like I said, I believe that insulation makes the bottom part hotter versus putting all the heat right out the top. And there we are on that cement slab on the top, 99 degrees. All right, let's go around here to the back. The opposite end, which is right here where the chimney is. There's that clean out. And like I say, this is clean out, and it's also, if I ever needed to start a draft, I just pop that off and the chimney's right there. All right, so let's see where we're at here. On the cement, let's see if we can read it. Hey, we're 74 degrees there. The clean out itself, 87. So we'll start up. See, it's quite a bit cooler down here on this end. See, there's my hot, about 120 on this end. But that should be the coolest spot, in my opinion. And back up to the cement slab. This one's 94 degrees, and that's right there by the chimney. All right, chimney. $112. Go up. 120. Drops off fast. There we go, right as it goes into the triple wall. So like I said, the hottest part is where the interior of that is still heating the pipe. I'm going to show you the size of pieces that I burned. About there. Usually 3 or 4 of them to a burn. Like I say, last night we burned, probably about 7 or 8 of them because we were dropping down in temperature, so I had to build up a little bit. So anyways, gives you an idea. You can get a lot of them out of a round of pine. All right, been about 5 minutes here.
You hear it roaring.
You hear it roaring, yeah. There you go. See that burn chamber there in the back, the chimney or riser, or whatever you want to call it. Filling up with fire, burning the smoke.
Still got a little bit of smoke, but that's all it took. And we just leave it until it burns down a little more. But it's going.
Cool.